All right, turning to our big story this hour, the suspect charged in last month's deadly shooting over a parking space has made his first court appearance less than 24 hours after being charged with manslaughter. Yesterday, Florida prosecutors announced they would indeed charge 47-year-old Michael Drake for killing Marquise McLaughlin. You may remember Drake and Marquise McLaughlin apparently got into some sort of discussion, argument over a handicapped parking spot before the suspect pulled the trigger. The move to charge him essentially overrides that initial decision to apply the state's controversial stand your ground defense to the case. Just last week, Pinellas County Sheriff Bob Gualtieri defended his decision not to charge Drake, saying McLaughlin pushed Drake so violently that Drake had to defend himself, in his words. McLaughlin's heartbroken mother is saying she thinks she can finally begin to heal.
You could start something, and just because someone react, you could just kill them. You could stand behind, stand your ground. So now they know it could be consequences. I just been in, I guess, a daze because that was my baby. So the day when I heard that he was getting charged, I guess I could start healing. At least start.
CNN correspondent Martin Savage is following the story for us. Okay, what more do we know here, Martin, about what happened in court today?
Well, this was a brief court appearance. It was his first court appearance, so of course the charge would have been read against him. The charge we already know is for manslaughter, and there was also a bond that was set at $100,000 bond, and then there were basically what the rules are if he were able to bond out. We don't know if that's happened as yet. Then moving on to what we know about this investigation, and there is more that we're learning, and it's troubling because it shows a pattern. It shows a history that Michael Drake apparently did not like people parking in handicapped spots. That we know for sure. The man who ran the convenience store where this fatal shooting took place said that there had been other incidents, and there had been other members of the public that had run-ins with Drake. Take a listen to our story. Michael Drake now facing manslaughter charges for this shooting of a Florida father in front of his family after an argument over a parking space. The deadly drama captured on surveillance video. An attorney expressing the feelings of the victim's family.
Michael Drake, period point blank, is a cold-blooded murderer, and he took Marquise's life without a second thought.
There's no question Drake kills Marquise McLaughlin. That's on the tape. But Drake initially avoided criminal charges by invoking Florida's controversial stand your ground law, saying when McLaughlin shoved him, he shot in self-defense. But almost 2 weeks later, a state attorney reviewing the case disagreed, issuing the arrest warrant. Under Florida law, now prosecutors will have to provide, quote, clear and convincing evidence that stand your ground doesn't apply in the shooting. Meanwhile, reports have surfaced Drake has had similar confrontations before, but never so violent, and police were never called. The owner of the Clearwater convenience store where the shooting occurred tells CNN affiliate Bay News 9 Drake has a history of confronting customers parked in the handicapped space. Truck driver Richard Kelly says he witnessed Drake's wrath firsthand when he briefly parked there.
He asked me, was I handicapped? I said, obviously, I'm driving a tanker. I'm not handicapped. And I asked him, was he handicapped? He stated no. He said, my mom is.
Kelly says Drake just kept getting more and more angry.
He flipped out on me. He just totally flipped out, called me every N-word, saying he was going to shoot me, he was going to kill me. He went back to his truck, got something out of his truck, and walked back up on me.
The store owner stepped in and broke up the argument. But Kelly says the incident leaves him wondering what could have happened had the store owner not intervened. And Michael Drake's arrest warrant shows that it's not just parking spaces he has something about. He's also had a number of what you would, I guess, call alleged road rage incidents. One in which he allegedly flashed his handgun at two teenagers. He apparently was angry they didn't go through a yellow light. He was following behind them. And then on another instance, a woman says that he, too, threatened her for going too slow in a school zone. These are early days, of course, in this investigation and the litigation, but there's definitely more to come.
Wow, sounds like he had a really short fuse, Martin. My goodness. Okay, thanks for getting on that for us. A lot of people have been invested in this case. So how and why nearly 1 month after the shooting did prosecutors decide to charge the shooter with manslaughter and not back the sheriff's decision to apply that stand your ground law? How will Drake's alleged run-ins with other drivers that Martin highlighted for us influence the case? We'll get some legal perspective ahead in the show. The family of a Florida man breathing a bit of a sigh of relief now after officials reversed their initial decision not to charge his killer. 47-year-old Michael Draka made his first court appearance earlier today. Witnesses and police say he got into an argument with Marquise Glockton over McGlockton apparently being parked in a handicap spot. McGlockton pushed Draka to the ground, and that is when Draka pulled out a gun and shot McGlockton in the chest. Draka is now charged with manslaughter, which overrides the sheriff's decision to apply Florida's controversial stand your ground defense to the case. Joining me now, legal analyst Joey Jackson. Good to see you, my friend.
Always, Michaela.
I think a lot of people were shocked and frustrated initially that the sheriff said, look, this is a stand your ground case. We're not going to pursue charges. That has changed. It is now being viewed as manslaughter, not stand your ground. Talk about the distinction between the two for those of us that are not in the know.
Of course. Now, first of all, let's make the first distinction. A sheriff should not be making decisions about who to prosecute and who not to prosecute. You ever get stopped and you plead your case, right, on a speeding ticket, and the officer says, rightfully, tell it to the judge. The fact is that the prosecutor evaluates the case. The prosecutor determines whether there is a case, and the prosecutor, in this instance, to the prosecutor's credit, decided to move forward. That's the right call. So the first thing for everyone to understand is while the sheriff may have an opinion about this, that's wonderful. That's his opinion. At the end of the day, a prosecutor who evaluates evidence makes a decision. Now, the prosecutor opted to move forward, rightfully, in this case. The next question becomes, Michaela, well, why isn't it murder in the first degree, murder in the second degree? Why is it manslaughter? Let's talk about that briefly. I think what the prosecutor felt in this case is in order to show murder, you have to show a premeditated, deliberative, malicious act. Prosecutor felt uncomfortable with the proposition of moving forward like that, particularly in a stand-your-ground state where you could say, don't prosecute me at all. In order to show second-degree murder, you have to show depravity, that you acted with a depraved indifference. By contrast to all of those, to the crux of your question, manslaughter, what you simply have to show is that you acted with criminal negligence. That is, you were careless. You were irresponsible in shooting. There was no lawful basis for you to do so. And I think the prosecutor felt that it was appropriate to move forward in that charge because that's a charge that you certainly could prove to a jury of that person's peers. And that's the basis for the manslaughter charge. But the fact that it's being prosecuted at all, I think, is a very significant step.
It is a significant step. Joey, also coming to light is his reported history, Draka's reported history of harassing other drivers. He waved a gun at somebody that was going too slow. He waved a gun at somebody that stopped for a yellow light. God forbid you stop for a yellow light. Threatened to shoot somebody because of a handicap parking spot. This guy has a history. How much is that going to play into the case?
It plays in huge. So these are called prior bad acts, and any prosecutor is going to look to use those acts against you, Michaela, to show that this is who you are. It goes to motive. It goes to intent. It goes to absence of mistake. It goes to your modus operandi, and that's significant evidence. So the prosecutor is going to say, hey, it's relevant. Let's put all this before the jury. The defense is going to say it's prejudicial. We can't use it. At the end of the day, it's highly relevant. It's probative to the issues, and it represents trouble for the defense to use his sordid history against him.
All right, Joey, really appreciate you coming on to discuss it with me. Thank you.
Anytime, Michaela. Thank you.